Hi there, Flea from Eincode here. In last video I was talking about the data fetching functions. In this video we'll continue and I will introduce the options Fallback and Revalidate. So this will be one of my freestyle lectures, so there is no prepared content beforehand, but we'll be programming together. So first of all we'll we'll run our projects we have set up in last lecture. If you don't have your project set up, you can simply go to my GitHub repository called datafetching-next. You can click here on the code and you can download the zip, open the zip, run dependencies, and you can start up your projects on localhost 3000. Okay, so you will simply go to your terminals and you will run here npm run dev. Okay, so set up your projects, run here npm run dev, first npm install, then npm run dev, and you can go to your browsers and you should see here running on localhost 3000 your project. Okay, so as in the last lecture we have been working with a fake API. We have introduced here a photos page and also single photo. In this one we'll do small refactor and we'll be working with the blocks. But first we need to introduce here some data, and for this I will create very simple API server. Okay, so first let's create this simple server. For this we need to install just one dependency, and this will be Express. Okay, so go to terminals, you can shut down your project here. Okay, we can clear this out and we can simply install here Express. So in npm install -save, let's write here Express. It will be very simple Express server. In meantime, while this running, we can go to our coding editors. Here you should have open your projects, and let's introduce your server folder. Okay, I will close all of this here. We don't need it right now, and we'll create here a new folder. So new folder, let's write here server. In the server we'll have only one file. We'll call it index.js, and in index.js we'll introduce your server. So very simple implementation of a server on a few lines. Let's import here first Express, require Express. Let's create here instance of Express. So let's call Express function. This will initialize app, and I'll write here app.listen. All right, we need to listen on some ports. So I'll write here const port, and let's say port will be 3001. Okay, so listen on 3001 port, and here callback function. Let's say console.log and server is listening. Perfect. Okay, I will save this. We will try to run this server. So for this we can introduce here a command, or for now we can go just to terminal. Let's open here please the second terminal window. So in your project folder, just click here on a Control T or a Command T. It will open a new window in a terminal in the same folder. And here you will run as a node server and index.js, and this should run your API server. Okay, so server is listening. We will introduce here one endpoint. Okay, so I will go back here and I will write here endpoint app.get, and endpoint will be /API/ let's say blocks. Okay, let's introduce here callback function. All right, and we'll send here response. So here we need to get a request, a response. We'll send here response.json, and this will be just simple JSON, let's say message sending. I will be working with a single quotes here, so we'll change it for a single quotes and a sending a response. Perfect. Every time you will do change in this file, for now, you need to just rerun your server, okay? So right here, again, we'll shut this down and we'll run here node server index.js. We'll try this API server. So we'll go to our browsers and we'll go here to localhost 3001 / and API / we have introduced their blocks, right? So blocks, and here sending response. Now we need to introduce here real data. So we would like to work with the blocks. We'll create a few blocks and we'll send them back in this to this endpoint. Okay, so I'll introduce here data const. I will call it blocks. This will be array of the blocks, and each block will be defined with the ID. Okay, so let's introduce here first object. Okay, this will be array of objects, and each object will have a couple of options, or let's do it like this. Each object will be starting with the ID. Okay, so we'll remove this object here, and each object will be starting with the ID. So let's write here ID, let's say 12 object, or what I'm doing, it will be object, and here will be ID, So let's say ID will be 1. This will be object first. Okay, so I will find the ending bracket for this one. Again, second object, this will be ID of 2. Second object. And let's introduce here three blocks, okay? So this will be another object, and it will be my third block. So I'll write here 3 and object here. Perfect. Okay, so let's introduce here some block. Each block will have a title. So I'll write here title, my block 2. All right, each block will have an image. Image will provide a later. Okay, so title, image, and some description. Description, and my block description 1, and here will be my block 1 actually. Okay, an image we can get from an Unsplash, so we can go simply to Unsplash. You can get the free images from there. Okay, so unsplash.com, and let's get here some image. Let's just block. Okay, and we can just copy some image from here. I will open image in new tab, so right click on image, open image in new tab, and let's copy this URL. And let's paste it here. All right, so we have a title, my block 1, and actually this will be not ID, but I will call it Slack, and Slack will be created from a title. So let's say this will be my-block-1. Okay, and I will provide also the Slack here. So Slack, and it will be my block-1. And don't forget comma here. And what we need to simply do, let's copy all of this data and let's provide it to the second block. Do the same with the third block and just write here my block 2, my block 2, my block description 2, and here my block 3. All right, my block 3 and my description 3, and just simply let's change this Slack. So here will be my block 2 Slack, and here will be my block 3 Slack. And we will change the images so we can see the difference between these blocks, right? So I will go here and I will get here. Let's find here some other images, right? So I will change this. Let's go to this one. This is quite different. Open image in new tab. Let's copy this URL. Let's provide it to an image here. All right, let's go back. Let's open here the other image. Let's say some lighter color. Let's say this one here. Open image in a new tab. I can close in Unsplash, copy this, close this, and let's paste here the third image. Okay, perfect. So we would like to send these blocks back to the user. So I'll copy these uppercase blocks, and I will get here response.json, and I will get here blocks. Okay, I will save this. I will go to terminal. Again, you need to shut this down. So Control-C, Command-C, and let's run here a node server index.js. I hope I'm not going too fast, but you can always slow down video. Okay, and simply refresh here, and you have all of your blocks here. Okay, so we have here blocks, the array of the blocks where we have an object with a key and the data of the block. Actually, what I like to achieve here, I would like to send here only blocks data. I don't need to include here the structure, the key, and the value. I would like to send back only these objects here, the array of these objects here. So this one, and this one. Okay, so first I will restructurize my blocks. I will not have here array. It will be simpler to work with the object itself. So I will change these square brackets for the square brackets for the curly brackets. So we have here object. All right, we need to also restructure this a little bit. I will remove this bracket here. We don't need it now. And also, let's see here. So this is one bracket. Here is the key. All right, here I will remove this bracket, and I will include like this. I'm sorry for this restructurization here. I will remove this bracket here. Okay, this can stay. This will remove this. All right. So this will be object simply. Okay, I'll remove this curly bracket and also this curly bracket, and now it should be okay. So we have an object of the blocks where we have a key and the value of a block. Okay, now when we have an object here, notice this structure, please. We can iterate over it. Okay, so you can iterate simply, or you can map over these. Like you can do this right here. Variable, we can call it mapped blocks, and I will write here. Let's write here this. Let's access here blocks, or let's write here like this object. We will get the keys of this object.keys of the blocks. We'll use here map function, and we'll map over the blocks. Okay, or let's write it like. Okay, with the blocks we'll be mapping over the ID. Okay, so I'll get here my block ID. I will edit it like this, arrow function, and I will get here block ID because I will be mapping over these IDs, because this object.keys.blocks will create the array of these keys. We will have 3 items in this array, my block 1, my block 2, my block 3. So this block ID will get here. And simply what we'll return from here will be blocks on this ID, block ID. So this will create a structure we want. Okay, mapped blocks, and we'll send here map blocks, and we can even simplify it. Since this is an arrow function, we can remove this bracket, we can remove return, and simply will return this. Okay, let's save this please, guys. Let's go back to terminals. We will shut down this server, note index.js. Oops, not server.index.js. Okay, we'll go back to browsers, and finally we can refresh, and you will see here we are getting here only our blocks data. So here is my first block. Okay, we have it as an array. You can see array of the blocks. So here is the first object, here is the second object, and here is the third object, my block 3, and image. Okay, so this is working. This endpoint is working. This endpoint is done. Then I would like to create a second endpoint to get blocked by the Slack. So let's write here app.get. Let's write here /API/blocks/column and the Slack. So we can get a parameter from the request. Again, arrow function. Let's access here request.response. We'll get a Slack from the parameters. So let's write here const Slack. Let's get it from a response dot params. Oh, not this should be request.params.slack, or just simplify this and let's remove the Slack from here, and let's destructurize Slack. All right, and we'll return here a response of the JSON of our blocks on specific Slack like this. Okay, now again the same stuff. Shut down the server, run it again, and we'll be done with the server. Okay, so this is working. We'll go to Slack. Let's say my block 1. Let's copy this. Let's write here / my block 1, and we are getting here informations about my block 1. I'll write here my block 2, and here is my block 2, as you can see. Okay, so our endpoints are working. That's perfect. Now we can continue finally on our frontend, and we can get these informations here. All right, so I'll keep it there here. Please, let's keep your server running here. Server is listening, and let's go to your development server, and let's run here npm run dev, and we'll use this information. So let's go to our coding editors. We can go to our frontend part, so to our pages. Okay, we are working with the blocks, but we have here photos. So let's do simple stuff. Let's rename this for photos for blocks, and here we will fetch our data from our server, API server. So this will be, we'll remove this, and we will write here http localhost 3001/API/blocks. We'll get here blocks. We'll write here props of the blocks, and we don't need to splice here anything actually. So we can just simply call it blocks, and here we'll return props of blocks. Okay, we don't need to introduce here any delay as in Elon's lecture. So we'll remove the delay from here, and we'll send the blocks to the props. Okay, this will get here, and we'll map here over a blocks, single block, and what we have there block dot description, I guess, or we have a title there. We have also title, so we can include the title here. Dot title. Oh, block dot title. Okay, and let's remove this function for our blocks like this. Okay, so this will be our page. Okay, now we can save this. We can go back to browsers, and we can access here /blocks. And we should have here my block 1, my block 2, my block 3. So we are getting our data. We can create here better stylings. For this, we will use a bootstrap. So very fast, we'll go to terminal. We can shut down this actually, and we'll run here npm install --save bootstrap. So we'll install bootstrap framework. We'll wait until it's installed. It will be very fast. We can run it again. npm run dev. I will do a very simple thing. I will go to my app.js, and I will introduce these stylings here. Okay, so I'll write here import. All right, from a node module. So we need to just access here name of the package, dist css, and bootstrap.min.css. If you're looking for this package, it's simply in your node modules under bootstrap. Okay, so Bootstrap, where are you? Here, this CSS, and here is a Bootstrap. Bootstrap.min CSS here, this is what we are importing here. Okay, we can close on modules, we can save this, and after that, you should see here that we have a different stylings here. Yes, we have more spacing, and now we can use Bootstrap classes, and this will stylize our application differently. Okay, so I would like to introduce here actual block cards. First, I will introduce here some more components in our blocks. I will wrap this inside, let's say, I will wrap it into the container. In the container, we'll have a row. So let's write it like this. Let's write here a div. Div, we'll write here class name of a container. This is just a pure Bootstrap classes, so we'll have a better stylings here. So Bootstrap container. Then we have here div, provide the ending div here. Okay, let's move it to the right side, and let's write here class name row. All right, in the row we'll have a column, so here will be columns, so class name here will be call dash md dash, let's see, 4, and let's save this. Let's see how it will look now. Okay, so browser, perfect. We can add some padding also to the top, so let's add here padding. We can do it through our, let's see, our styles global CSS. We'll write here on a body, we'll add here some margin top or padding top. So padding dash top, let's add here 100 or 200 pixels rather. Okay. Back here, okay, I think 100 will be more than enough. All right, so let's go back. Okay, perfect. And we would like to actually introduce here actual cards and stylize this nicer. So for this, let's go open a new tab here. Let's choose here, let's search here for Bootstrap card or cards. Let's click here, get bootstrap.com on a cards. And for example, such a card as we have here. So I'll copy this card here. All right, and I will go to blocks and I will simply copy here card like this. So div, paste it here. When you see here error, it's usually when the element is not closed properly. So here is an image. Let's provide here ending slash like this, and it's closed. Okay, so actually we don't need here any alt attribute for now. We don't need here src. This will be actually image. Okay, let's leave here 3 dots for now. Card body. Change these classes for a class names. That's what you need to use in React. So class name, class name, class name, class name, class name, and that's it. For a card title, we can get here actually block title. So curly brackets. Let's access here a block dot title. Here we can have a description, so I'll remove this part. Let's write here curly brackets and the block description. So block.description, and here comes somewhere. Let's see blog post. All right, link here will stay the empty hash for now. Okay, we can save this. We can go back. All right, here let's refresh. Actually, we have here error style prop. It's wrong here, so we can remove completely style here. Okay, let's just leave here a card. Let's see it now. Okay, we have our blocks without any image. We can add some margin to the right side of this block as well. And I think this viv here, I'm not quite sure if it's required to provide here viv. Let's see it like, or actually, we have removed our columns. That's actually a problem. So yeah, let's remove this viv. We don't need it. We can just wrap it inside of the div. Let's close it inside of a div like this. All right, and let's write here class name, and it will be column-md3 as we had it before, or 4 actually we had it before. Let's save. Back to browsers. Amazing, we just need to provide here image. Image should be simple. Let's remove here src. Let's write here curly brackets, and let's get here blog.image, we are calling it. Okay. Save, and we have here our images. Perfect. So we have our 3 blocks. We are fetching these informations from our API server, which is perfect. And now we can do here some more additional changes. First, we'll get here a warning. As you can see here, when you open your development tools, here is each child in a list should have a unique key. So you need to just provide in your root element in the iteration, you need to provide here a key prop like this, curly brackets, and some unique information, some unique data, which is in our case block.slack is unique. It's different for each of the blocks. So block.slack. We should get rid of this warning. So let's refresh. We shouldn't have here any warning at all. Perfect. And now we can work on a detail page, and after the detail page is done, we can talk about the fallback option and revalidate, finally. All right, so let's do it. Let's go back to our coding editors. And let's introduce here detail page for a block. Okay, actually I will do some changes in the structure, how we will have here photos, blocks, and stuff. I will create in a pages folder a new folder. I will call it blocks. In the blocks folder, I will create a new file. I will call it index.js. And also a new file, and I will call it in the square brackets slack.js, like this. I will get my blocks, I will copy all of them, and I will copy entire file from a blocks.js, and I will copy it into the blocks index.js here. We are just changing structure, nothing else will change. Now we can freely remove blocks.js, remove it, just keep here blocks folder, index.js. But if we will save this, we will go back to browsers, everything will work as before. We can still access our blocks. Perfect. So now we can go to our coding editors, and we can go to our photo.js. We can copy entire file. Let's paste it into slack.js, and let's remove photo.js. All right, so now in our Slack, okay, let's do these changes here. Let's call this block. All right, props we can still leave here, get static paths. We'll just do a different request, right? So we'll access all of our data. So this will be localhost 3000. So again, as before, HTTP localhost 3001 actually /API/blocks/ some specific. We are fetching all of the blocks here, so just a /blocks. My mistake. This will get me all of the blocks. We don't need to splice here any data, so we'll remove the photos. We'll get here our blocks. I will rename it for a blocks. We will map here over the blocks with the map function. We'll get here a single block. All right, now params, we are not calling it photo, remember, we are calling it, in this case, Slack, okay, in a square bracket, so we can call these params Slack. We'll get here a block.slack, all right, perfect. Okay, this is correct, we are returning paths. I can remove the console log here. Fallback will be false for now. All right, and I get static props. We'll get here params. We'll be fetching now singular block, so I will remove these params here. This fetch URL, and I will get here our HTTP localhost 3001 /API/blocks/ specific Slack of the block, so $ and curly brackets, and here will be params dot Slack, right? So params.slack. Okay, we'll get here our singular block. I can rename this data for a block, and we'll pass these props in a block, this block in the props. This will get me my block here. So props, I can access here props block.title. Perfect. Now let's save everything. Verify this one more time. You can also find the code in the description of this video. If you're not sure, please check everything and we can take a look on this. Okay, so let's save. Back to browsers. And now we can access here blocks. So we'll go to blocks / let's say how we have our slacks here. For example, here my dash block 2. So I will copy this slack. I'll get it here. Let's press enter, and here is my block 1. So we are fetching successfully our blocks. We can try my block 3. We should get here my block 3 and so on. Perfect. So we are getting it correctly. What we can do now, we can just stylize it nicer, I would say. Okay, so again, so we can go back to coding editors. We can wrap this inside of a div of a container as we had it before. So div class name of a container. Okay, and let's find some example in the Bootstrap. So let's go back. Let's go to Bootstrap, and let's find here some nice example of the block. So for example, for this, we can go to Jumbotron. And let's provide it like this, something like this. Okay, doesn't really matter. We can copy this Jumbotron. Let's copy it. Let's get it back here and let's paste it into the div. Don't worry about the errors here. We just need to close some elements. For example, this HR. Let's write here / in the end. Perfect. And let's change every class for class name everywhere. All right, class name, and href here. In this case, we did need this lead. Actually, what is this lead? Learn more. We don't need it. Okay, so we can remove this entire p element here. And let's provide here some actual information. So we can destructurize these props for block. Okay, we are getting here in the end block, so we don't need to write here props, but straight away destructurize from the props block. And let's access here block title. So curly brackets, block title. Here will be block description, curly brackets, and let's write here block.description. Okay, in this last p element, I don't know what I'll provide here, but let's save this and let's take a look on this. All right, back here, and let's see my block 3. My block 3 is here, and here we can provide an image, for example, or something like this. Let's see Jumbotron, and maybe there are some images here, and not really. Let's see image somewhere here in a Bootstrap documentation, some image component we can use. Images. Okay, so we can, for example, let's see what we can provide here. Some small image with a fixed width. We don't have here anything like this, right? So image thumbnail, let's use this one here. Okay. Actually, there is a new image component in the newest Next.js. I have also video about this. I will not use them right now. For sure you should use them, but I don't want to lose the time here, so I will just simply paste it here. If you are interested how you can use the new image component, check my other video on YouTube. And let's write here src, and in a square bracket simply block.image. All right, amazing. Let's save. Back to browsers. All right, and let's see. Okay, perfect. All right, so now we'll go to block 1. We should see here my first block, block 2, and block 3. Perfect. All right, guys, so now finally we can talk about the fallback option and revalidate. Okay, I will start with the fallback option. So what is the fallback option? In the case, you can see here, when you have a fallback to be false, all of your pages are pre-generated during the build time, and from the params that are not provided, page will be not generated, but instead it will provide the error page. So for example, if I will access here some of my slugs that doesn't exist, for example, such as my block 4 or block 5, I don't have such a blocks. On my backend, we have only 3 blocks. When I will press enter, I will get here error page 404. This page could not be found. So that's a fallback of false. When there is not such a page existing, when they don't have information to fetch this page, your page will result into the error page. So that's the fallback of false. Fallback, when you will provide a true option, it will try to first provide you some default page, and then in a backend, it will try to fetch new page in a case there is such a page, the page exists. So for example, if I will write here fallback to be true, all right, let's write here fallback to be true, there should be some fetching happening now. I will go to page 5, and you can see we are not getting here error page, but we are trying to display block. But of course, we're fetching these informations, but we don't have such a block. We don't have my block 5 on a backend. So what we can do in such a case, if we have a fallback of true, let's go back here. We can provide here some checks. We can check here if this page is fallback, then we can display some fallback page that will be displaying while our block is loading. In the case the block is not found, we can display error page. If the block is on the backend, we can display the block informations. Okay, so first I will show you an example when we will create a block at the runtime of our page. So let's create my block 5, for example. Okay, so with the fallback of false, we would get the error. In a fallback of true, we will get the actual block. We will see it. But first, let's first create here a fallback option. Okay. For this, you need to use here user router function. So up here, let's import user router. Let's write here import in a curly brackets. Let's write here user router from next router. Let's write here this router const router. Let's assign here user router. All right, and we'll check here if router is fallback. Let's provide here. Okay, let's provide here. Let's see return, and let's return here edge1. Loading page or something like this. So loading page. All right, let's save. Let's go back. Okay, let's see loading page, and as soon as we'll get informations back, you can see we are getting error because of course there is no such a block. Okay, perfect. We can actually wrap it into the container as well, so it will be indented a little bit. So let's wrap it into a div. Oops, I went down here. No worries. We'll wrap it into the div. Okay, and let's write here class name of container like this. And if you would like to more indentation, we can move it on the new lines here, and it will be indented nicer. Okay, let's save this now. I'm having some brackets here, so I can move this bracket here. Okay, so if a router is fallback, we are displaying fallback page, and after that the data are fetched. If we don't have such a block, we'll display some fallback, some error page. If we have a block, we'll display obviously our block. Okay, so let's refresh loading page, getting error, perfect. Okay, so let's create a block, but first I will run this in a production mode. Don't worry about these errors. So to test it out properly, we'll go to production mode, because in development mode it would be working straight away, but I would like to simulate actual environment, production environment. So I'll write here npm run build. So we'll build all of the pages, and then we'll run npm start, which will run production server. Okay, so creating production build, let's wait a second, and after it's created, we can run here npm start. npm start, perfect. We can go back to our localhost 3000. We can try our blocks. Everything should be working. We can go block/my block, my dash block 1, super fast. Everything is pre-rendered. My block 1, my block 2, my block 3 working. My block 4 will not be working because we don't have such a block. We are getting here error. So in such a case, we'll go to backend now, and you will see here on the backend, we'll add here my block 4. So I will copy all of this here, this entire page, this entire data of my block 3. I will paste it, and I will change it simply for my block 4. All right, my block 4 description. And you can imagine this is a production server, and you are doing these changes to your data on the backend. You are maybe changing your database and so on. When you will do these changes, you will go to your browser, and you will go to my block 4. You will refresh. And actually, okay, I need to refresh my server, my mistake. I need to refresh my API server, of course. Okay, let's restart our API server. That's not a big deal. Okay, and let's go back to browsers. When you will go to my block 4, now you will refresh. You are getting your block 4. And that's the fallback option to be true. So all of your pages that can be pre-rendered are pre-rendered. But when your application is already running, and you will decide to change your data on the backend, and you will go to a new page that's not pre-render, actually with the fallback of true, you will try to fetch these informations. So first you will display fallback option. These informations are fetched over my block 4, and the new page of my block 4 is pre-rendered, and you will display this page as soon as the data are fetched, or the HTML document of my block 4 is constructed. And from this point on, whenever you will access my block 4, this page is created, and you will access it, and you will get here straight away. You can see there is no fallback now. The page is already generated in your build, and you are getting my block 4 immediately. Okay, so that's a fallback option to be true. Now, when you will, let's see the example of my fallback of a fallback false. So we'll go back here. I will go to my slack.js, and I will change here fallback to be false. We'll create again production build. So let's go to terminal. We can keep the server running. We'll go here. I will go here npm run build. So we'll create our build, and then we'll start a production server. Okay, so now it will be fallback false. Okay, so npm start the server. All of your blocks that are pre-generated will be working, but when you will access a new block, for example, my block 5, that's not on our server yet, we'll get here, this page could not be found. And even though I will create this data on the server, so I will go to my server, and I will get here my block 5. So like this, my block 5, my block 5, my block 5, my block description 5. I will get here, all right, and I will restart my API server. Okay, API server. All right, I will go back here, and I will access my block 5. I will refresh, nothing will happen. So there is no there is no fetching of the data, the new HTML document is not generated. So that's the difference between the fallback false and the fallback true. So fallback false you will use whenever you don't have a lot of data, you have just a few pages you want to pre-generate as you are creating a build, and you're not expecting new pages to be added or some data on the server to be changed. Or maybe you are expecting these changes that happen on the server, but you are okay with the rebuilding of your application, because if you want to see this data now appear, what you need to do is to just rebuild your application. So you need to go to your Next.js, you will need to click here npm run build to create a new build of your application, and then to start up your server again, and this page will be created actually. Okay, so I will write here npm start, I will go to our browsers, and you are going straight away to my block 5. So this is working. Okay, so that's the difference. Fallback false, fallback true. I will write it actually down so you have some information on the paper. Let's go to our slug.js, and I will get here fallback. All these informations you can check also on the Next.js documentation website, but let's write here. Okay, so fallback true, or we'll start with the fallback false. Okay, so it will pre-generate, or it will create HTML pages or documents for returned paths. Okay, so here, depending on how many paths you will return, that's how many of pages will be actually pre-generated. If these data are fetched here in the get static props, if the actual data are fetched. Okay, so fallback false, it will create HTML pages for return paths. If data on the server are changed, so if data on the server are added or changed, you need to then you need to rebuild your application in order to see new data. Okay, so if data on the server are added or changed, or I mean in your database, then you need to rebuild your application in order to see new data. Okay, so you will use this for pages that are not changing that often, or you are okay with rebuilding of your app. Okay, so use this for pages that are not changing that often, or you're okay with the rebuilding of your app. So yeah, that's the fallback of false. And of course, a fallback of a true is opposite. So fallback, I will copy this, fallback of true. It will create HTML pages for return paths. That's true. Okay. But if the path is not found, so we are accessing actually block that it's not created yet on the server, or it's created on the server, but we don't have a pre-generated page, it will not result into the 404 page. So it will create HTML pages for return paths, but if the path is not found, it will not result into 404 page, but instead will provide fallback page. Okay, so that's what we're returning here. Fallback here, loading page, fallback page, and if data are found, it will pre-generate new page. Okay, how does it make sense? So fallback true, it will create HTML pages for return paths, but if the path is not found, it will not result into 404 page. But instead, it will provide a fallback page, and if data are found, it will pre-generate this new page. So that's a fallback true. It will provide a fallback, and if this parameter is fetched, then it will pre-generate this page and it will provide it. Okay guys, so I really hope I didn't confuse you. If there's any questions about the fallbacks, check the documentation of the Next.js or just write me in the comments. Okay, so fallback true, fallback false. Usually when you are working with the blocks or data that are changing often, you will just use your fallback true. And now let's go into Revalidate. So for this, I will show this example in our blocks page. So blocks, simply here. And we'll provide here a revalidate option. So what will happen? Okay, so first we'll try it without revalidate. Now, currently we don't have any revalidate. So when you will go to your blocks page, you don't have any revalidate option. So now we can simulate real application. Our application is running in the production. And let's say I will decide to change some data. So we'll go to my server. And I will decide to change my data. So this will be not my block 1, but instead this will be my block 11. All right, this will be my block 11. 11 here. 11 here, and this block 2 will be not block 2 but 22, my block 22, my block 22, and my block description 22. I will save this data. Of course, I will restart my server, my API server. Okay, so API server, I'll run it again, node server index.js. I will go back. Alright, I'll refresh my page, and you can see, of course, nothing will happen. Because my blog page is pre-generated, I'm always displaying my blocks page as it was when the build was executed. So that's the already pre-generated page. I'm not expecting this data to change. So in that case, what you need to do to see the new data, you need to, of course, create a new build of your Next.js. So we need to go to terminal, we need to rebuild our application, start it again. But there is an option called revalidate. And with the revalidate, you can actually fetch your data as your application is running. Okay, so how can we do it? Let's go back. Okay, and let's go to our blocks. And let's provide here under props. Let's write here revalidate, and it will provide here time in a second. Okay, so let's write here revalidate 1. So after 1 second, your page will be revalidated. So it will try to fetch your data. In a case you have a new data, it will fetch a new data and will rebuild in the background your HTML document. It will create a new HTML page with the new data, with a revalidate of 1. So I will show it to you. So revalidate 1, of course, now we are running in a production. We need to go to terminals. I will go here and I will create here a new build. So let's write here npm run build. It will start it again after it's rebuilded, and it will see our blocks. Okay, so clear it out, npm start. Right now we will display here new data. After I will refresh, I am seeing here new data, okay, because before I didn't have a revalidate. But let's see it. Go back here. Let's go to our server and let's change it one more time. Okay, so my block 101, 11, 111, 111, 11, and here 222, 222, 222, 222. Let's save. Now let's refresh our API server. So let's run here again API server. But let's see this. Now I don't need to rebuild my Next.js application. I will go simply to my page here and let's refresh the page. Let's refresh a couple of times, and you can see as soon as my page is loaded, after 1 second, I'm getting here new data. And now from this point on, a new HTML document is generated, and as soon as I will access here localhost 3000/blocks, you will see here new data, and you don't need to rebuild your application. So that's the revalidate. As you will change your data on the server, you are at the time you specified into revalidate, new data are trying to be fetched, and a new HTML document is created, and you are displaying this new HTML document. Okay, so now when I will go actually to my blocks, and let's access here this block, how we are calling it, my block 111. When you will try to access your data now here, you should see here error, because even though you have a fallback of true, you don't have in the end you don't have such a block 111. In this case, what you can do, you can also provide revalidate to your fallback to your detail page of the block. So I can go to Slack. I will write. Oh, actually, we don't have here fallback of the true any longer. So I'll write here true, but this would also result into this error because we don't have my block 111. But I will write here revalidate true 1. So after a page is displayed, at least after 1 second, we are trying to display the new data. Okay, so revalidate 1. Let's go to terminal. Now let's restart our both servers. First, let's rebuild our application. So let's write here npm run build. after npm start, and we will display our application. So cleared and npm start. All right, and here let's yeah, we don't need to actually do anything on the server yet. Okay, so let's rebuild only the Next.js. Let's go to my blocks. Okay, it is working. Let's go to my blocks. Let's go to my my block 111. Let's press enter. Of course, we are getting here my block 111, but let's change it. Let's get back. And let's change the data of my block 111. So let's go to our server. So let's see, where is our server here. And let's change my block 111 for 1111. Do the same here. Same here. Let's save. Let's restart API server. We don't need to restart Next.js. Okay, so let's restart here. API, let's go back. Let's access this block. Okay, it's still here. Okay, we didn't remove it, but when I will go to my block 1111, let's press enter. We are getting also new block, and I don't need to do anything with the Next.js application. So now when I will change the data again, I will go here and I will change it completely different. I will say here my block or my super block, my super dash block, and my block super or something like this, doesn't really matter. I will save this. I will go to my terminal and I will restart my API server. I'll go back to browser. Okay, I will refresh this. We are still displaying old data, but as soon as the revalidate will kick in, I will refresh a few times and I will get in here new data. So that's the revalidate. Okay, and now I can just simply create here a new page. Okay, again a new page. My block with the exclamation mark, my block with the exclamation mark here, exclamation mark here. I will save this. I don't need to do any changes. I will go to my blocks. I don't need, oh, actually I need to restart API server, of course. We need to still do this because we don't have anything that will restart automatically our API server. This is just a simple example. I will just restart it. In point here is that we don't need to restart our Next.js application. I will go here, I will go to my blocks. We still displaying all data, but as soon as revalidate will kick in, I will refresh a few times. We are getting here my block with the exclamation mark, and I will go to blocks. Let's go to my block dash exclamation mark, press enter. We are displaying fallback page. After fallback data are fetched, we are displaying here my block with the exclamation mark, and everything is working just great. So here you have it. Here you have your fallback, and you have also revalidate, the ways how you can use them. So guys, any questions, just simply ask them in the comments. And what you can do actually in the end we can do this improvement that we can click on the link and we can navigate to our actual block detail page and we can finish it. So we have a complete application, more or less. Okay, so let's go back to our colligators. And for this, we need to go to our blocks page. And we need to import here link. Okay, import link component. I hope I didn't forget how it's imported. Next dash link. Okay, I hope there is such an import, or maybe it should be destructurized. Oh, I think that's a wrong import. Okay, if you forgot something, simply let's search for it. So Next.js link. Just a link. All right, next link. Okay, I was almost correct. Import link from the next link. Okay, so where I did a bit mistake. I had the issue here somehow. Oh, okay, now it's working. I think I provided here uppercase link, so that's how it should be. And instead of a element, let's use here a link. And if I remembered correctly, you need to provide here 2, and 2 will provide here our path to. So as you have here example, or actually to a link you are providing href. Very interesting. Okay, so href, let's write here backticks, and we are going to /blocks $ and curly brackets and blog.slack. All right, let's save this. Let's go back to our browsers. Okay, and of course, now it will not work because we need to rebuild our application. We are not running, don't forget, we are not running development server. So unfortunately right now I need to go here, clear it out, don't worry about this issue. Let's write here npm run build. And after we run npm start, we will simulate our production environment. and everything should work. Okay. So actually, we are getting here some issues with the pre-rendering. So error occurred, pre-rendering page blocks. My super block was not found. Let's see if we have this actually on the backend. And issue will be actually in our server because we are trying to fetch my super block. Okay, so the block with this slug here. This slug we are providing into our endpoint here when we are fetching by this slug. So this slug is getting here, but we are trying to get a block by this key here. Okay, so we are passing slug of this, but we are trying to get our block according to this. And you can see they are not consistent. Here it's called my super block, and here it's called my block 1011 and 1111. So this data needs to be consistent of a slug and this upper level here. So of course that's why we are getting issues. So now you can save this. We can go to terminal and we can now rebuild it. So let's write here npm. We can rebuild it, but we will get the error. But first we need to restart our API server. Okay, so let's write here node server index.js, API server is rebuilded, restart that, and we can run here npm run build, and now everything should be okay. It will create an optimized build, and after that we can run here npm start, and we can try our new application. So refresh. Okay, see the blog post, and we can navigate here. Here we are not displaying any longer any stylings for this because we changed it for a link, and I guess there is just an issue here. Link class name. Okay, so I guess the link and the class name they don't work together very well. So just we can take a look on this very quickly. I will inspect page. I will hover over a element. And let's see what we have here. Card body, a element, href, and we don't have here any class name actually. So let's see, not bootstrap, but let's see here, link. Okay, so we need to wrap it into the link, and here will be a element inside. Okay, guys. Okay, so very quickly, just to not have here any shortcuts, I will get here a link, and I will copy this part, and I will wrap it into this custom a element C blog post, and here I will provide a class name. So I have a complete solution. Okay, class name. Of course, now we need to rebuild again. Yeah, that's how it is when you're working with a production environment. So let's write here npm run build, npm start, and after that it should be as we want to have it. Okay, so npm start. Okay, and now it's working perfect. So blog post, here it is, and the blog post here it is. Alright guys, so that should be it from this lecture. If you are interested into more content, I have a lot of courses on my Academy website, so just simply go to academy.eincode.com. I have complete courses here. I'm covering Next.js, React, all the framework, Frontend framework mostly. I'm covering also game frameworks if you are interested into gaming stuff. Also, Electron application Electron framework for native applications, and more of the stuff you can find here. Alright guys, so I hope to see you in some of my other videos, and have a nice day. Cheers!